Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Crucible Bootcamp. As usual, I'm your host, King Koala, and today we're going to be looking at another Rumble match, this time from a user named CrackC1012. He's playing a Night Stalker and he's using a shotgun on this week's Trials map, Exodus Blue. So let's go ahead and get into it. So again, kind of the basic premise of Rumble, we want to be as quick as possible, getting from kill to kill, and we need to choose one of two styles. The first style being rotation. We're going to move around the map in a circle or back and forth. Or control a power point, which means we pick a point on the map that we feel we can properly defend from all directions and kind of sit around and wait for people to show up to try to challenge us. So we're going to see he takes more of the rotational choice. The cool thing about using a shotgun on Rumble is that you can move between kills very, very quickly, even while you're low, because you can use the radar to bait people into you. Based on the speed of his reticle, it looks like he's using lower sensitivity, probably 3 or 4. I'd be surprised if it is actually higher than 5. When you do challenge like with a shotgun as a Night Stalker, the goal of your shade step is to create pseudo cover in order to close the gap, or like you just did there, if you do manage to not get a complete one hit off, you can use it to dip back into cover, and you should be practicing this if you're gonna shotgun as a Night Stalker pretty much nonstop. So right now he's kind of moved back between C flag and out in boxes. And here's an example of what you don't want to do when you're trying to push for kills. It's subtle, but you need to be aware of the lane that you're pushing through and where your actual cover is. So you can see after he finishes this kill, if we go back to Think, Act, React, our TAR acronym, if we think that we want to go challenge someone over around C flag, and we act on that, we also need to keep in mind that if we push in or outside of cover, basically in the open, without a really good escape route, we need to realize that we're going to probably get punished if someone catches us in between where we are and where we want to go, which is exactly what happens when he dies here. So he pushes out into the open and someone's already on top of the train car, and he just gets punished for it. So he spawns in C flag now. He's kind of moving around. This little shade step as a way to scout is the same thing as if you were to jump or slide to start an engagement. It disorients your opponent. It gives you a little bit of extra time to line up your shots and try to get your first shot off, which is good. That's exactly what you want to do. And you can see right there, he does get first shot off before his opponent's really prepared for him. It ends up being a trade, which is okay. He misses like one extra headshot, which would have resulted in a kill instead of a trade, but that's not a big deal. Again, this kind of slow play here, where you know where he wants to go. He wants to go back to C flag, but there's someone in the way. Slowly pushing towards there and relying on your primary is very important in Rumble, because you're not always going to get to the point where you can just nonstop warrior people. And like his opponent there, utilizing smoke is why it's not very smart to just run around the map with your shotgun out. You're going to get punished pretty hard for it. So again, back on C flag, rotating around, searching for kills. See someone on radar. So again, we start our process over, Think, Act, React. We see someone out here on the little car cubby, and we can decide either we're going to challenge from the top of ramp, which could be problematic based on if someone expects us to come up, or we can sweep around, which could result in different issues, such as someone pushing around through trains or through A. So you kind of have to decide which way you're going to go. So he starts challenging and goes down ramp. No one's there. Someone's around the corner. So he kind of gets lucky here that his opponent dips back out of cover, which is the kind of the antithesis of using an auto rifle, you want to try to keep track of your opponent as long as possible and not give them a chance to dip back into cover. So let's rewatch that engagement. As soon as you see someone here and you miss an entire burst, this is your opportunity to reset the engagement and to shade step around the corner. What that can do is you can potentially bait them in with your shotgun because you know that you're absolute and you definitely have less health than your opponent. So they're most likely going to try to push in to get you. This is a Titan, so that kind of play is a little risky just because you run the risk of getting hit by lightning grenade. But if this were a different class, that might be a better play as well, a different option. Either way, he ends up with the kill, which is good, and he's going to kill this guy right off spawn. Again, slightly moving back into cover. We want to make sure, as a Night Stalker, to utilize Shade Step as often as possible. As soon as we get a kill, we should be Shade Stepping back into cover, unless it's on cooldown. When you move around the map, you tend to want to stay boots on the ground. Jumping is mainly for challenges. It's problematic if you're running a pulse rifle just because your inner accuracy is really bad. So you tend to want to shade step in or out of challenges. This is a good example of baiting someone in with a shotgun. He knows you're absolute, and you're going to be around this corner, and you know he's sniping, so you run absolutely no risk of getting shotgunned yourself. You also know that you just threw a storm grenade out, so you're relatively safe from. You can stay in the same spot. The only thing you run the risk of getting is meleeed. And the Stormcaller, obviously, that melee is extra long. It's always going to outrange your shotgun, so you have to keep that in mind. So he does a really nice play here, and he's going to shade step around, which breaks the aim assist on the melee and makes it whiff. And then he gets a really nice kill. That is a absolute textbook example of how to shotgun bait someone. So let's watch that one more time. So he's going to challenge. Heads up challenge. I would have liked to see a slide or a shade step, but that's okay. He's going to wait around the corner. Heads up. He's standing up. So we'll see his radar. I'll pause it when you see the radar. Okay, so he's around the corner. He's standing up so his opponent can see this as well. His opponent knows where he is. He's going to stay standing up because he wants to give his opponent that information. He wants his opponent to know exactly where he is, so he pushes into him. And then he does exactly what he wants. Really nice movement there and finishes the kill. That's something you should be practicing a lot. And if you're a Titan, the only difference is, or Warlock, is a back glide or a side glide really quickly to break that as they're coming around the corner. So that little jump there, that was a really good example of another kind of challenge that you want to do. Unfortunately, he misses the initial burst. Again, if you miss your initial burst and they already have shots on you, you should be shade stepping out to disengage. You don't need to commit to the fight. Pull back into cover. You have a shotgun, so you can, again, bait them into you. That's the strength of a shotgun, is the fact that even when you're weak, you're still incredibly dangerous. So off spawn, again, he really likes going to C flag, which is good. But again, you have to be aware of where you're going to get attacked as you're moving through your traffic lane. If you're going to move through this lane, you need to be aware. People can be on pipes. People can be in the back of pipe, inside warehouse. Maybe someone's out here on the train car. Really, if you want to move into C flag, the safest option for you is to run around through C alley, back where Alpha spawns. Or is the Bravo? I don't know. You one of the spawns, back through C alley, behind this train car here, and then into C flag. That gives you all cover all the way through. And it also gives you a good escape route. So if you notice, for just the briefest of seconds, you can see right here, there is a guy on top of the pipe. So I don't think he notices him, which is eventually why he turns around and tries running. And he ends up getting double bodied. That is a spot on Accessible you should always be checking for. That spot, and then on these two box pillars. You should be checking those three spots all the time if you're going to move through this area, because it's really easy to get picked off from someone up there because most people don't expect it. Especially if you're a sniper on this map like that his opponent was. Being on pipe lets you control both halves of the map. You shut down an entire traffic lane. So again, he's not wasting much time going between kills. You see he's absolute, but he's instantly moving to the next kill. He kind of has a good idea of when he's going to be fully healed up back up. And again, I'm going to preach this a lot, but here's another example. He's going to slide into this challenge. And that slide into this challenge is going to save him 100%. Because that guy only got one shot off on him before he was even prepared. And he got 2 full bursts off before he was even done with the slide. And then he moves to get him off spawn. One thing I want to point out here is if you're going to use your tether defensively in Rumble, so you're running Black Hole, not Quiver, you need to use it before you start getting damaged. Not as you're getting damaged, or it's going to result in what just happened there, which is he's just going to die and suppress the super. If you would have hit him, that would have been good because he just would have shut it off. But that's a much riskier play than if you just tether, like even just tethering your feet after you hear the buzz. You don't necessarily need to get a kill, but you do need to defend yourself. I felt like he held on to his super too long, honestly. Once you get your super in Rumble, that's your best opportunity to get a free kill right away. You should be pushing someone very, very aggressively and then just straight up challenging them and supering them. Don't bother with your guns. With tether, if you miss, then they're going to get suppressed anyway. Then you can finish them off really easily with a shotgun. Your primary bullets are going to do, a lot more damage. So again, he should be shade stepping out of these challenges into cover. Be as within cover as possible. There, as soon as he misses that initial burst on the head, you should be shade stepping away. Let yourself reload, get a new angle, or just run away. Alright, so here's an example of what not to do in close quarters combat. And also kind of the downside of using lower sensitivity, which I only run on 3, and a lot of times in close quarters combat, I can just get my ankles broken because someone jumps over me, or I can't properly predict where they are. But when someone, in these kind of situations, if you're going to jump over them, you need to, at this point, you need to be aiming straight down. Right? That's good. So when he jumped up, you need to now try to aim straight up or shade step to disengage. You don't have a good angle anymore. He has essentially high ground on you. And he's going to have perfect information because he knows he just jumped past you. You're most likely going to be right beneath him. Well, he luckily, that could have turned out actually in his favor just because his opponent is running a chaperone and manages to miss 3 shots. But again, shade step and disengage. Even in close quarters combat, it's still very disorienting to be shade stepped on mid-combat. As well as, like I said earlier, it breaks all aim assist. So it's difficult to track someone in shade step. That isn't to be confused with a myth that a lot of people are perpetrating, and that's it has invulnerability frames. It doesn't have invulnerability frames. You are actually moving as a hitbox while it's happening. The only thing is just you can't properly track someone while it's happening. So it seems like you're invulnerable. You're really not. You just aren't used to how the hitbox moves as someone is shade stepping. So don't proliferate that rumor. It's just a myth. It doesn't actually exist. And if it was a thing, it's not going to help you get better anyway. Again, he's gonna bait around the corner. When you are baiting someone into you with a shotgun, the worst thing for you to do while baiting is to actually ADS, even if you have rangefinder. And why is that? Because they're going to be in one-hit KO range as they come around the corner to take the bait. That's the whole point of baiting, is to bait them into a location where you don't have to close the gap anymore. They're going to do it for you. So you never need to ADS in this situation. Even if you don't manage to one-hit kill them completely, the pellets are going to do max amount of damage, and you can almost always finish with the melee unless you completely miss. That's bound to happen. But again, here he has no idea how close he is anymore. So you have no idea. And because he has no idea, by the time he pulls out of the ADS, it's too late. Like he doesn't have a shot lined up anymore. So it ends up in a trade as opposed to a win. So again, more issues with running low sensitivity. And slightly having a little bit poor reaction time. That initial jump, he could have probably shotgun melee'd him as he was underneath him. But his aiming is much better this time. I would have liked to see more shade stepping away to kind of create space, because you know your opponent is running a shotgun. But that's fine. Again, a lot of these challenges can be a lot cleaner. He ends up absolute a lot of the time. I mean, he's still winning, but it can be better if you're sliding in or shade stepping around these challenges. Okay, this is a good opportunity. As soon as you hear this buzz, you don't have your tether up. Even though you have wombo, you should defensively wombo and shade step away. Before he even rounds his corner, your wombo should already be out. Instead, he waits way too long, kind of hesitates on the challenge to begin with. If you are going to challenge it, you need to kill it as fast as possible, so you need to wombo with your shotgun out. And this kind of indecision where he sees people on radar but he isn't pushing to get kills, that's what's gonna ruin your day when you're trying to win a rumble match. You have to be decisive. As soon as you see someone on your map, you need to think, who do I need to go after first? If you're using headphones or if you're using surround sound, you can try to sound whore and see and hear where people are. So in this case, you can hear someone to your left. You should probably be more aware of fighting to your left. You should probably be more aware of the person to your right. So you push them or maybe pull away from the person from your right. Those little things are going to make a difference. You notice that there isn't a ton that Craxy's actually doing wrong in this game. It's just all these little mistakes are starting to build up little by little, where, you know, he's, instead of getting a clean kill, he's getting trades. Instead of being completely ready for the next challenge, he's absolute and he has to wait a second. Okay, now he has super again. He should be, like I said before, aggressively pushing to just use it. Now he's kind of just waiting for people to come into him, and he ends up getting smashed. So again, he still has super. Again, go to push with it. If it's black hole, just shoot it at someone's feet. You don't necessarily have to hit them. Excuse me, just like that. That was a perfect use of a black hole. That's all you need to do. Nothing fancy. You didn't even need to kill him. You just used your loadout really well. All right, so he ends up winning the match, which is very nice. Luckily, the guy that was ahead of him by a couple hundred points ends up killing him, or he ends up getting killed a couple times, so he manages to catch back up. But like I said, those little mistakes that you made throughout the entire game really ended up putting you in a position where you did have to make high pressure plays, and you were put under a lot of stress because you would challenge in ways that it was easy for your opponent to trade with you, or just you got outplayed, like, period. And a lot of that, I think it both has to do with the sensitivity you're running on and kind of understanding the proper way to fight in close quarters combat, which a lot of players don't know. You don't know if you jump in the air where you should aim. A lot of close quarters combat is predictive movement. You can't really rely on your eyes because you're so close, they could be pretty much anywhere. You really have to rely on where you think they're going to be so you can aim appropriately. But like I said, just a lot of little things, like you always want to slide. If you're not running a hand cannon, always sliding, or if you're running Night Stalker, always shade stepping to initiate or disengage from fights. If you don't get your initial burst off, or maybe you miss 4 or 5 headshots, you should just be disengaging because you no longer have the opportunity to get your optimal time to kill, which can potentially result in a trade, or more likely that it's gonna result in a loss. You're gonna die. But the things you did really well, you definitely moved around the map very efficiently. You knew where you wanted to go and kind of what it would look like once you got there. But as I harped on a little bit, make sure when you do have a plan that you're aware of what your opponents are capable of doing. Not just what it's going to look like from your end, but also keep in mind what it might look like from your opponent's end. If someone is going to be challenge you in the middle of the traffic lane that you're trying to go through, how are you going to deal with that? Are you going to disengage? Are you going to be able to properly challenge them? Does that mean you might need to slow down a little bit and maybe crouch move more? There are a lot of different things that you can do, but just be more aware when you do finally decide to move somewhere. Keep in mind what it's going to look like from your opponent's point of view. Kind of try to put yourself in their shoes. So this week, luckily, is also the Trials Maps Exodus Blue. So we'll cover a little bit of my trial strategy on Exodus Blue. And again, we just watched the Rumble, so I'll kind of show you visually which areas you want to control. Mostly as a shotgunner, because that was what was being featured in today's episode. So, like I said before, anywhere, and I've said this on about Exodus Blue before, but anywhere with a lot of really good choke points is a strong area to control with a shotgun. You notice that I don't go all the way to slope stairs, and that's because this is all open. There's no real cover, and you don't have great escape routes. So you kind of want to cut it off at Broken Wall, this particular zone. The other really nice zone to control is actually around A here on outside heavy and trains. So kind of this area here. And that's because, again, lots of really close quarters combat, a lot of choke points to run through, a lot of corners, most importantly. And the reason why it's most important that there are corners here is because it's really easy to shotgun bait people going around those corners to try to challenge you. All of these corners here, you can stay here, and or this little cubby here, which means people have a corner here, people have a corner here. If you're underneath, there are corners here. There's like a little area where there's dark boxes below the trains, or sorry, where Blue Locomotive is below the trains. Little cubby here. You can bait someone coming around this corner. The strength of a shotgun is not that it's not the shotgun isn't going to be as effective as your ability to close the gap. It's going to be as effective as your ability to manipulate the way your opponents move. Because your opponents, especially on Rumble, are always going to have that same mindset of I need to get someone as fast as possible and I need to kill them. So you can exploit that by staying heads up around a corner and just waiting for them to play out the match like they should, really. They should be pushing aggressively to try to find people to challenge. But that's why when we push aggressively to challenge, we keep in mind what our opponents are going to do, what it's going to look like from their end, if we're actually going to be challenging from behind cover, or if we're not challenging from behind cover, how do we pull them into us so that way they are also not in cover? It's okay to challenge from outside cover if your opponent is also outside cover. That's basically creating your own 50-50. A perfect example of that would be if you're in back Bravo spawn and they're in Bravo field. This is just going to be a 50-50 with your primary mostly. And you could create that by starting in C alley and then pulling back into Bravo, maybe as someone's going through trains. And they're going to pull out of cover, and you're both going to be out of cover, and you're both going to have to basically outplay the other one or have it result in a trade. It's okay to create these 50-50s because you do it with a purpose. Maybe you have an auto rifle, so you need them to be out of cover in order to properly kill them. Then you want to create these situations where neither player can go into cover, or where they're out of cover and you're in cover. So maybe you bait them around C special when you're in C alley and they're out of cover. This isn't a great spot for most people. And you can just dip back behind this little crate here and have full cover to your opponent if your challenge goes badly. If you're a sniper on this map, again, being on top of tube, really strong. And that's because you can actually cover all the way out here, alpha field. You can cover in here through B. And then on the other side, you can cover basically everything. I think you have an angle here. So really, being on top of tube, the real risk is just people spawning really far away from you and maybe picking you off with a pulse or more likely a scout rifle. So let's talk trials now a little bit. So again, just to recap, these are the two strong power points, these areas here, as a shotgunner for Rumble. If you want to do rotations, you can basically just move back and forth between the two. Really, these areas here turn into traffic lanes. No one really goes through B except to move through it, so you can use B to move laterally across the map really easily. And as a shotgunner, it's always going to be safe, in quotations safe, to move through B, because if someone does end up pushing you, they're going to be in close quarters. So it's on you to miss the shots. It's on you to, you know, your fate is basically in your hands if you're in locations where shotguns are strong and you're running a shotgun. If you're not running a shotgun and you're running through these locations where you're going to be in close quarters, it's your fault if you die to a shotgun, because that's just where they're strong and you're going to close the gap for them. If you're in here and you're a sniper and you're trying to snipe people coming in through these directions, don't be surprised if someone comes in behind you and shotguns you. Just because they're going to be completely in cover on either of these corners and be able to close the gap really easily and just basically slide into you. Same thing with a fast charging fusion. If you just slide around this corner, you can kill someone inside this half of B really easily. So trials, I actually went flawless last night, so I have some tips on how I did it. I was running a sniper. I normally run a sniper on trials, and I also sweat with a sniper. I like having a sniper on Exodus Blue, at least one, just because there are a lot of long lanes that people go down that you can get really quick, easy picks on, and the map is short enough and has a lot of cover that you can push orbs very, very effectively. So, and I've talked about this before, but basically there are 3 lanes of traffic that you can move through as flanks, and 1 lane that's a 50-50. And the 50-50 would be here. And a little bit this way as well, out to crates. Or even out to Bravo Field. So knowing that the 50-50 is warehouse, there are a lot of ways you can make this not a 50-50. 2 things that I did if I ever went into warehouse successfully, and there were a couple of times that I just got domed because people are prepared for that. And you need to be prepared for that as well, that people are just going to know where you're going to go. But ways that you can make these challenges not 50-50s is just utilizing cover as one. So staying behind cover and then sliding or jumping to challenge all the way down. That gives you a little bit of time to either get a snipe off or maybe get a body shot and pull back into cover if you're a Night Stalker. Or even a Titan, because as you can see, you know that this pillar is inside. You have this space here, where kind of a dead zone, and then there's this pillar here. So if you sprint, slide, challenge, and it goes poorly, you can actually short hop or just slide over to behind this pillar, and now you're safe again. Obviously, you run the risk of getting grenaded if you do go behind cover, which means that in these sorts of plays that you try to, these sort of short plays that you attempt to make to keep yourself safe, be aware that you maybe have 1, possibly 2 seconds to really catch your breath, and then you need to be pushing back into a different set of cover. So you should be sliding down back through the sight line, but behind the second pillar here. At this point, this is the risky point in the play because it's probably been 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, and someone could potentially be on crates out here now. which makes that while you do have cover from C flag in this location, you no longer have cover from someone coming up tube or sniping from crates. So be aware of that. That just might mean that if you do want to continue to stay alive, you need to continue to push into cover. So you go all the way around the broken wall and then maybe pull back. I'll kind of recap the little play of how I would play the 50-50. We're starting on the pillar. We're slide engaging here. We're going to push here if it goes poorly onto the second pillar. I think this is like a little fallen bit. Wait a second, maybe two. Depends on the reaction of your opponent. But don't wait there for very long because you don't want to give them enough time to realize that they should grenade you. Move back around the second pillar. Maybe do a quick check down tube if you see anyone, or maybe you've gotten shot now. Maybe you're absolute from a body shot. Move towards wall and disengage. And then from there, we just start our entire TAR acronym over again. Think, act, react. So now we know, hey, we got bodied by someone out on crates. Let's say he was on the far crate, which is the popular spot on Bravo side. Now we can establish a plan of attack because maybe we also know that someone's on C. If we're on Poga, maybe it's good for us to push into B because this sight line basically ends here. So we have all this space to move through. Maybe hug the wall and come around underneath him. Maybe we pull around through trains to get a really nice flank on these two players. Or all the way through heavy to get another flank from stairs. Or even, and there's a little pipe here, we run all the way onto the pipe. We push all the way behind. And we have shots here and a good escape route through C alley. So you, as soon as, let's say, so in this situation, we've done the 50-50, we've disengaged. This is your thought process. This is what your thought process needs to be right now. Do I go through B? Do I go through trains? Or do I go through heavy? And if I do go through heavy, is it stairs or the back pipe? Keep in mind that all of these different plays that you can make have different timings to them. So if if you need a quick flank on the person on crates, because maybe the person on C flag, you think they're going to push into warehouse, and you don't have that much time to get all the way around because maybe your teammates are going to get swarmed, you have to go through B because that's the quickest route. Maybe you have a lot of time and this person's going to stay here hard scoped, so you can take a long flank. Maybe this is round 3 or 4 and they've expected you to go through trains, so you go all the way around to come completely behind them. The most important thing to do if you're going to be a disruptor or a flanker is that you need to make yourself completely unpredictable. And that's by switching up the way you approach the enemy team every single round, or even multiple different angles during the round. So a good example of that is if you're using a hand cannon, which is really nice because it only takes maybe a quarter of a second to squeeze a shot off. You can relocate really easily and have done a substantial amount of damage. If you're using an IS Luna, an 86, 87 damage to the head is nothing to sneeze at. 2 shots later, they're dead. So maybe you challenge here from train and you squeeze one shot off and you get him on crates and he notices you. Then you can disengage maybe back on stairs, create a head glitch, and if he doesn't wait to recover, you can re-engage. As soon as maybe he decides not to re-engage, so then you can again sweep around through the pipe and come behind him, and now you're attacking him from this angle. Maybe that doesn't work, so you back up and now you're on this big tube here. Now you're attacking him from there. You want to be as annoying as possible. This is going to extend the gunfight, so while you're being super annoying as a disruptor, which is your job, your teammates should be slowly pushing up for map control. So they can assist you as you play disruptor. So if you're here, you're still alive. It's been 15 seconds. Maybe that gives your team the possibility to push both of them push through tube, so you can essentially create a pinch on the opponent. even if you die here, your opponents or your teammates should be here to both cover the res and get you up. And that's ideal for how you need to play as a team in trials. Especially if you're going to run a 2-1 split where your one split is constantly flanking, constantly being annoying, and most importantly, knowing when to fully engage to a commitment. This is something that I struggle with all the time, is that sometimes I overcommit and I get 2 shots off when I only really had time for 1 because now I'm getting team shot by all 3 players. That's bad. You don't want that to happen. It's okay to just get 1 shot off, even if it's just a body shot. You just do 50 damage to the guy. That's okay, because there's still going to be that time where that person could potentially get body shotted by a sniper. Now they've been primed for a push from a shotgunner, and you've done your job by disrupting the sight line that they previously had covered. This is why it's very difficult to play sniper, period, because it's very easy to stop you from hardscoping properly. If you cut off this sight line because they're too distracted by you behind them on trains, again, your opponents or your teammates can now just run through tube. Free. This was once a 50-50, and now it turned into a traffic lane. That's perfect for a disruptor, because you've basically contained the enemy team from pushing into you, and now you're playing the game on your terms. Also, you've cut off this entire escape route by just pushing into them. If someone's on C flag, when you push through to pinch this person on crates, they can't really push out into you without getting team shot, and so their only option is to rotate all the way around the map away from the orb. Just by doing this simple play, you completely have control of this orb. This person has to make a very big play if they're going to push out into you. Mostly that's going to be if you make a mistake by jumping up on top of the crate to cover the orb. He can potentially snipe you off of it. As long as you don't do something like that, you're golden. No one's going to get to that orb without getting at least a few shots off on them first, because they're going to be in the air, completely helpless. Now, if I'm on Bravo spawn, like I said before, the popular spot is to go on crates, and that's because this sight line here, because we know that if this area is our 50-50, this is a good spot because it's change of elevation. You could be crouching, or you can be standing up. You can be anywhere on the crate, really. A good swipe sniper won't matter, but for your average sniper, that does matter, crouching or standing up. Also, if you're here, you can still shoot up the tube. So if you show crates round 1, maybe round 2, go down here behind this box and shoot up the tube again. Another option, if you want to still use the crate, if you start here and jump backwards, there's a lip about halfway up that you can hop onto. Again, you've changed the elevation. It's still the same sight line, but now it's in your favor because someone is going to expect you to be on top as opposed to in the center of it, right in front of it. So that's what I mean when I say you can change the 50-50s to be in your favor. Even if that just makes it a 55-45, that's still what you want to be doing, is giving yourself the best opportunity to win. And that's also why I want you to always be sliding, or always be shade stepping, or always be jumping into engagements depending on your weapon type. Obviously, you shouldn't always be jumping into engagements if you're running a scout rifle or a pulse rifle, unless it has Icarus on it. And even then, you still run the risk of missing. But if you have a hand cannon, and especially if you have a hand cannon with Icarus, like I do, it's almost always very safe to jump into an engagement. Just a quick short hop. Doesn't necessarily need to be the double jump burst, but just a nice hop off the ground will throw off your opponent's aim and could potentially keep them from getting multiple headshots on you with their primary, or just doming you with a sniper. If you're in effective range, you should have enough time, as we saw earlier in the Rumble match, to at least trade with the sniper's double body shot. That's especially good in Rumble, and that's really good in Trials if your teammates are close by. Obviously, if your teammates aren't close by, trading is always going to be bad because it's going to result in 3v2s. But as long as it's not going to result in a 3v2 or your enemy or your teammates are playing hyper aggressively, it's going to be effective. If you are Bravo team and enemy team decides that they're going to try to play Alpha Field, going on top of tube gives you a really nice vantage point, and if you crouch, you have a nice head glitch on Alpha Field as a sniper. Same traffic lanes for flanking work on Bravo, through trains, down through heavy, and the B mid lane, depending on the strategy that the enemy team wants to perform. If you do go through A, this corner here is really dangerous. Most people expect you to push from there, so actually pulling around through corner room and coming all the way back here, and maybe sliding to back room, especially if you're a shotgunner. If you're in back room and you're not getting grenaded, that's good because, again, choke points. You can bait people in pretty easily, or even slide out yourself because there's a truck right here. So you can slide out into cover and slowly edge forward. It also gives you this through A flank, gives you a good opportunity to come all the way back through slope stairs. And this flank's really nice because being on the stairs ends up being a head glitch to anyone outside here on broken wall or on inside special. So you get a nice head glitch, maybe you get 1 or 2 shots off, and then you can pull back out. Potentially back into cover. All right, so that's pretty much all I had for you guys this episode. Thank you guys for watching. I feel comfortable making this announcement, and a lot of people have been asking about this. I'm going to be setting up a Patreon account. So if you want to support the show, you can become a patron, and I will have some rewards for that. I'm going to have signed posters. I'm going to do personal tutoring, and then backer game days. So if you back me, then be able to play with me. We'll do some trials cards. We'll just do, threes. We'll play some sweaty rumble matches together. Depends on whatever you guys want. Some people have asked about personal tutoring. If you do want personal tutoring, I'm willing to do that. Just email the normal Keen at Crucible Bootcamp, and we'll work something out as far as rates and then how much tutoring you actually want. That's something I'm totally interested in. And I am planning on doing some streaming some personal tutoring, because I think it would be interesting for the viewers to hear the conversation as opposed to me, the talking head, talking at you about what to do. Really being able to talk to someone and work through what they're thinking about while I'm doing the review would be pretty neat. Along with that, really the main purpose of the Patreon is so that I can basically get more equipment to have a better show. So I would like to get a webcam. I would like to get a cap card. I would like to be able to have more after some post-processing video editing, so I can do more short form stuff, because I want to do more short form stuff, but I don't want it to be poor quality. So that's what that would support, is the programming and then the equipment. And so then, for the future, it'll just look better and better, which is the goal. I would like to have this look more and more professional for you guys and be able to do more cool things for you guys. So yeah, once that all gets set up, everything will be updated. I'll make announcements and all that. But for now, I feel comfortable announcing that I'm going to be doing it, and that's the purpose of it. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you want to send me gameplay, as usual, send it to Keen at cruciblebootcamp.com. No 6s, 3s only, or Rumble. Just because that's where you're going to get the best information. But take it easy, guys. Koala out.